Hi, welcome back to That's Entertainment, the weekly entertainment show where we look at all the interesting news from last week, this week. The big story last week was Disney revealing the dramatic slowdown in subscribers to its streaming platform, Disney+. As Variety put it, Disney+ slammed on the brakes in the most recent quarter, gaining only 2.1 million new customers, the streamer's slowest growth since launch 2 years ago. As of October 2nd, Disney+ has had 118 million people subscribing worldwide, inching up from 160 million at the end of the previous quarter. CEO Bob Chapek has said in September that the studio was expecting subscriber growth to slow, with predictions of a quarterly increase in the low single-digit millions of subscribers. While 2.1 million new subscribers might seem an impressive result, it represents a massive drop of 10 million plus when compared to the previous quarter, which saw Disney outperform expectations by adding 12.4 million new subscribers. According to Variety, once again, the latest number was well short of Wall Street forecasts, which had pegged around 10 million net adds. Analysts, on average, expected Disney+ subscribers to reach 126 million for the quarter. The huge significance the streaming service represents to Disney was highlighted by the fact that shares in the company fell by almost 4%, despite the fact that across the company, revenues and earnings increased in the most recent quarter, bolstered by a rise in visitors to Disney resorts and theme parks. The total Disney revenue climbed by 26% to $18.5 billion. So why did those numbers drop so dramatically, and what might that say about the future? Chapek had previously highlighted the fact that COVID-induced production delays were having an impact, delaying the launch of various high-profile titles on the streaming platform and reducing the range of new content available to consumers. He also flagged that in addition, Disney has encountered challenges mobilizing partners for the launch in Latin America of the Star Plus service, which includes sports and entertainment content. Parrot Analytics' Julie Alexander put together a thought piece for the media news subscription service Puck. Starting with a positive note about Disney+, she pointed out its family programming amounted to nearly 17% of the total demand share for kids content in the US during October, and according to their database, second only to Nickelodeon. At the same time, each live-action Marvel and Star Wars series on Disney+ has become the most in-demand show globally within weeks, far outpacing competitors. But she went on to ask, Disney observers increasingly want to know how can Disney+ continue to grow beyond the families who subscribe for kids and the Star Wars or Marvel diehards. To reach 230 to 260 million global subscribers by the end of 2024, Chapek and CFO Christine McCarthy projected last December and recommitted to on Wednesday, the service must appeal to the Disney crowd and then some. Disney's streaming offering outside the North American market may offer the solution, where a wide range of studios' non-family content is available via the Star tab on the homepage. As Julie Alexander also noticed, Star, the Disney Plus add-on features content from FX, ABC, Freeform, and other Disney networks that fuel Hulu in the US. When shows like Modern Family or Dopesick are available directly within the app, it takes less effort, commitment, and dollars to keep consumers streaming. Everything is in one place. If users in the US want to jump from Loki to Only Murders in the Building, they must make an affirmative effort to leave Disney+, search for the content, then open Hulu, including signing up for it individually or through a bundle, before watching that content. If we look at Pareto distributions, and the idea that very, very few command most of whatever's being measured, we are facing a future whereby only a certain number of streaming services are going to develop that habit. So, for instance, if I look at my consumption of Joe Rogan's podcast since he moved off to Spotify, I have a subscription to YouTube. I watch most of my content there. Since the move to Spotify, it's a conscious effort I have to make to go over there to catch up on what Joe's talking about. I think the same kind of logic appeals here within the streaming services. There'll be a couple of streaming services that, have the majority of the important content that's out there from an attention perspective. And anything that falls out of that behavior, being within your own familiar service, will be difficult to get people to switch over to. Anyway, something to be said about the power of online marketing. I think that's going to become increasingly important in the future, but also user habits and keeping people open-minded to try new services will be something that the industry needs to get much better at, and that's potentially where the AVOD model comes in. Julie Alexander goes on to suggest that in North America, Disney Plus needs to offer its users more high-profile, non-family programming such as Hamilton, but she doesn't go as far as to suggest an obvious solution: replicate the successful overseas model. remove Disney-owned Hulu from the US market entirely as a standalone offering, and add it as an additional tile on Disney Plus is branded either as Hulu or Star. As Alexander noted, Disney Plus with Star creates one general entertainment offering, everything for someone, while also carrying something for everyone. Having an entire library of content spread out across two different streaming services also interferes with context-driven feedback recommendations, a key component to increasing session time and making a platform like Disney Plus feel like a necessity. Meanwhile, Disney themselves have a range of plans already announced designed to encourage further subscription growth. Last week saw a huge marketing push around the previously announced Disney Plus Day on Friday, November the 12th. Some key upcoming shows were previewed, some new titles were announced, and some high-profile content was added to the platform as part of the regular subscription deal, including two of the studio's latest big-budget feature films, Shang-Chi and Jungle Cruise. Perhaps more importantly, it was the week-long Disney Plus Day. Promotion offered new subscribers in the US and the UK and other select countries 75% off the cost of their first month of subscription. We look forward to seeing the potential success of that particular promotion. It will be interesting to see if Disney announce the take-up soon, or if they will wait until the next quarterly results to unveil the numbers. Also, last week, Bob Chapek reaffirmed the studio's commitment to Disney Plus's international rollout and announced increases to the studio's budget on content for its streaming services. This is up from $9 billion spent previously scheduled for 2024. Currently, Chapek said that there are 340 local titles in various stages of development to be released on Disney Plus over the next few years, and he laid out plans to more than double the number of countries where Disney Plus is available by the company's 2023 fiscal year. The emphasis on local and regional content is key, as Chapek vowed that Disney Plus would be available in over 120 countries by next year, compared with roughly 60 countries now. I think this goes a long way to stating the advantages that Netflix has, because they've not been locked down by the types of content they can produce. They have something for everyone, and they're accepting, interesting stories from all different parts of the world right now. So I would say Netflix is in pole position, probably closely followed by HBO and HBO Max. In addition to producing a significant number of shows and movies as Disney Plus exclusive, it seems that the studios may not have turned its back on the day-and-date theatrical home premiere PVOD model it debuted this year with such big-budget movies as Cruella, Black Widow, and Jungle Cruise. "We're sticking with our plan of flexibility," said the CEO. "We're still unsure in terms of how the marketplace is going to react when family films come back with a theatrical first window. Those family audiences have been Disney's bread and butter for decades, and the studio will be releasing its next animated title, the musical Encanto, in cinemas later this month. There is some concern that the awareness for the release amongst cinemagoers is not as high as would have been expected pre-COVID. Box Office Pro picked up on another worrying factor that could impact the film's theatrical takings. The impact of kids' vaccines remains difficult to project. Health officials estimate that those children being vaccinated immediately upon eligibility won't be considered fully inoculated until at least early December. And there may yet be some parents who opt to wait before vaccinating their children. As such, all box office comparisons to pre-pandemic releases remain volatile at best. Tellingly, it has been announced that the film will have a reduced, flexible 30-day theatrical window in the US following its November 24 release, which presumably means it will be available for family movie viewing on Disney Plus just in time for Christmas. While such a shortened theatrical window could impact on the film's success, it could well onboard more streaming subscribers over the holiday period. And as Disney's CEO said last week, we're going to do what's best for our shareholders ultimately. Well, in the run-up to Christmas, that would make a lot of sense. And I think if they are being pushed up those subscriber numbers by Wall Street, then this is going to be the strategy moving forwards. It seems Puck's Matthew Belloni was spot on in his assessment of last week's Disney Plus numbers when he wrote, "Disney now lives by the sub and dies by the sub." That's all for this week. Remember that we publish this show both to LinkedIn and to YouTube. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe in the comment section below. We'll be at IBC at the beginning of December on the 4th to 6th in Amsterdam. If you're around, do come and see us. We would be very, very happy to chat to you about our ideas for how audiences can continue to develop post-pandemic for all these subscription services. Thanks very much. Talk to you next week. Goodbye.